Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, ma'am.
Morning, ma'am.
In today's class,
Good morning, ma'am.
I'm I'm going to cover about friend function and friend class. Okay, so this concept is very important. Okay, so we will understand what is a friend function first. Okay, and then we will see one example of friend function, how we can do the declaration of a friend function, how we can define a friend function. Everything we will see through an example. Then I will discuss about friend class. Okay, so all of you know, in object oriented programming we have already discussed this concept. In object oriented programming we have already discussed the concept like जो भी data हम ले रहे, whatever data we are taking, that is normally secured privately inside a class. Okay, so inside the class we are taking different data members. Okay, so even if we are not defining the access modifier or access specifier, it is kind of, we can say that it is secured privately inside a class. Okay, but and also we know that only those member function of that class can be allowed to access all the data member. तो हम उसी क्लास में जो भी मेंबर फंक्शन डिफाइन करते हैं वही मेंबर फंक्शन को हम अलाउ करते हैं कि लाइक ओनली दोज मेंबर फंक्शन ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर क्लास कैन बी अलाउड to have an access to those private data members. Okay, and obviously it has to be done through the member function only. Okay, and agar hum if we are defining any function like outside functions agar hai, then those outside functions cannot access the private data members of a class. These things we have already learned. Okay, कि अगर हम क्लास के बाहर अगर कोई आउटसाइड फंक्शन को हम डिफाइन करते हैं, दैट आउटसाइड फंक्शन will not be able to access the private data members of a class. It can able to access the public data member, but private data members को वो access नहीं कर सकते. So in that case, अगर अगर हम कोई आउटसाइड फंक्शन, हम ये चाहें कि अगर कोई आउटसाइड फंक्शन को allow करेंगे to access the private data member, so how we can able to do that? That is by using the concept of friend function. Okay, so friend function is basically uh, it is given a special grant to access the private and protected members of a class. Okay, so हम क्या कर सकते हैं, like we can treat it as a special type of function in C++, uh, which in spite of not being a member function of a class, we are saying it is not a member function of a class, it is a नॉन मेंबर फंक्शन. स्पेशली अगर हम फ्रेंड फंक्शन बोलेंगे तो हम बोल सकते हैं कि it is not a member of a, it is not being a member function of a class, but it has the we are giving some access, like we are allowing the friend function to have an access to the private and protected data of a class. Okay, so हम सिर्फ ये बोल सकते हैं कि फ्रेंड फंक्शन एक होता है नॉन मेंबर फंक्शन और इट इज अ स्पेशल टाइप ऑफ मेंबर फंक्शन. ओके, जो कि हम इसको ट्रीट करेंगे लाइक आउटसाइड फंक्शन एंड दैट नीड्स टू हैव एन एक्सेस टू द प्राइवेट डेटा मेंबर्स. ओके, सो इसीलिए हमें फ्रेंड फंक्शन लेना है. ठीक है, सो नॉर्मली जो भी फंक्शन तुम फ्रेंड फंक्शन लोगे, ओके, so that is basically defined outside that class scope, but it has the right to access the private and protected data members of a class. तो मुझे जो भी फ्रेंड फंक्शन में डिफाइन करें, मतलब जो भी उसका डेफिनेशन है उसको मैं आई हैव टू राइट, आई हैव टू डिफाइन इट, define the friend function of a particular class, and that can be defined outside the class scope. Okay, but even though it is defined outside the class scope, it has a right to access all the private and protected members of a class. Okay, so we will see that like how we can define the prototype for a friend function, because whatever prototype you will define for the friend function, that will basically appear inside the class definition. Okay, but inside the class body. Okay, but जो friend function का definition है, that is not a member function, that you have to define outside the class. Okay, so this is what we need to know. Okay, एंड वी ऑलरेडी नो कि जो भी हमारा क्लास का प्राइवेट डेटा है, ठीक है, जो भी हम डेटा मेंबर लेते हैं, ठीक है, प्राइवेट डेटा मेंबर्स जो भी लेते हैं, दैट नीड्स टू बी एक्सेस डायरेक्टली विदाउट यूजिंग ऑब्जेक्ट ऑफ दैट क्लास, लाइक सॉरी, लाइक अगर हम ऐसा चाहते हैं कि जो हमारे क्लास के प्राइवेट डेटा मेंबर्स हैं, सो नॉर्मली यू access through an object, right? बट अगर हम ये चाहते हैं कि जो हमारे प्राइवेट डेटा मेंबर्स है, how we can able to access those private data members directly without using the object of that class. So previously we must have created, like in the program you have created many objects of the class, multiple instances you have created, and through that object you are accessing the data members, the private data members. But if there is a need to access the private data members of a particular class without the help of an object, so that can be possible by the concept of friend function. Okay, so understand कि हमें कोई object के help जरूरत नहीं है. We can directly have an access to the class private data. Okay, and through the help of friend function. Okay, and also another more concept is there, that is the concept of operator overloading. Okay, so that is can be also implemented in object oriented programming in C++ with the help of the concept of friend function. Okay, so just understand, like I will show you the example. Okay, and while we are defining a friend function, we have to uh, which is declared as a friend using the keyword friend. Okay, we have to make use of the keyword friend. Okay, inside the class, like I said, that uh, the prototype for the friend function needs to appear inside the class body. Okay, so by declaring a function as friend, all the access permissions are given to the particular function. Okay, and this keyword you have to place in the function declaration or in the prototype of the friend function, and that you do not necessarily have to specify in the function definition. So definition, जब function का definition लिख रहे हो outside the class, there you do not have to specify the keyword friend. Okay, only when you are doing the declaration of the friend function or whenever you are writing the prototype, there you have to make use of the keyword friend. Okay, and this thing I had already discussed, so these things are only the theoretical part. Again, we will see one example related to it. Okay, so like I already said, he if there is a need to access the class private data directly without the help of an object, so that can be possible through friend function. So when friend function is called, neither name of the object nor a dot operator is used, which we usually, this practice we had followed in many programs that you have already done. You have taken the help of the object, and through the object you were calling different member function. Okay, and but यहाँ पे जब भी हम फ्रेंड फंक्शन यूज करेंगे, वी डोंट नेसेसरली have to uh, take the help of any object, name of the object, neither we have to use the dot operator. Okay, simply it may accept the object as argument whose value it want to access. So how we will do that, I will show you the example. Okay, so through example we will try to understand the concept of friend function. Okay, कि हमें कैसे, how we can pass a object of the same class as a reference, because last, in the last lab or in one or two program you have already done this thing, like passing value as an argument in the function, or how we can sorry, passing object of a particular class, of the same class as a value or as a reference. So these things you have already got some idea. So these things we are going to um, implement in the friend function. Okay. So all of you now see how we can do the declaration in any section of the class, like the function friend function can be declared in any section of the class, that is under public or private or protected. कोई भी सेक्शन के अंडर तुम डिक्लेयर कर सकते हो, बट जस्ट यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड कि ये डिक्लेरेशन हमें it needs to appear inside the body of the class. Okay, so what is the declaration? That is, you are already creating a class name, then inside the class you can do the declaration. Okay, so this is the syntax. You have to make use of the keyword friend, then specify the return type, then the function name, whichever member function, function you want to make it as a friend function. Okay, and in the bracket you have to pass the argument. Okay, so I will show you one example, so that we will try to understand, then we will understand the concept of friend class. Okay, so I'm just taking a class named as distance. Okay, so I just want to take a value for a distance, then I want to do some kind of operation. Okay, so this is the class I had taken, and under the private, okay, even that you can specify, or if you, even if you are not specifying, anyway the default access specifier is the private. Okay, so here I'm taking a data member, private data member as meter. Okay, then under the public section, okay, I am taking a, so I have not, till now I have not covered the concept of constructor. Okay, so there are different type of, so that will be the next chapter we will be covering after, like, one more class, because one more class I will take to make you understand the concept of function overloading, operator overloading, what is inline function. So these three concepts have been left from the basics of class and object. Then after that we will start with the concept of constructor. Okay, but just for this example I'm just taking a constructor. So just for now you need to understand a constructor is also a type of, a special type of function. Okay, and जो भी कंस्ट्रक्टर लेते हैं, that is same नेम वी हैव टू टेक दैट वी हैव टेकन फॉर द क्लास. जो हमारा क्लास का नाम होता है, the same name we can take it for the constructor. So here I'm just taking a default constructor. So there are different type of constructor we can have. So that we will in detail we will learn. Okay. So just you know understand मैं यहाँ पे एक सिंपल डिफॉल्ट कंस्ट्रक्टर ले रही हूँ, ठीक है, दैट इज नेम्ड एज द क्लास नेम. ओके, एंड आई एम जस्ट इनिशियलाइजिंग जो भी मेरा आई एम जस्ट इनिशियलाइजिंग विद द वैल्यू 0. ओके, next is I need to display the value, so I'm just taking a display function to display the data. Okay, okay. So now just a normal uh, member function I have taken, that is display data, to display the value that we are taking as input for meter. Okay. Uh, so now what we can do, so this display data is a normal member function of a class. Okay, and we know that कि हम जब भी ये normal member function जो भी लेते हैं, and we can create directly access this member variable. जो भी मेरा variable मैं ली हूँ, data members ली हूँ, that can be directly we can directly access that member variable or the data member, that is the meter. Okay, through the display data. Like we have to create an object of the class distance, and through that object we can make a call to display data. Okay, function, and we can directly access the data members, private data members. This thing we already know. Okay, now what we can do, we have to like go for the declaration. Okay, so now we can like another friend function we can take. Okay, so now just before the end of the class, like somehow we can, here we can end the class, but before we end the class, inside the class body, like I can do the basic prototype, like prototype declaration मैं friend function का कर सकती हूँ. ठीक है, so I have to make use of the keyword friend. Okay, then I have to specify the return type, that is void. Okay, and here I have taken the friend function named as add value. Okay, so just I am taking some value for meter. Okay, जो भी मीटर का वैल्यू उसको इनपुट ले रही हूँ, ठीक है, फ्रॉम द यूजर, एंड आई एम जस्ट ट्राइंग टू अपडेट द वैल्यू, or I'm adding some value to the meter. Okay, and I'm trying to get a new value for it. Okay, so this is how we can do the prototype declaration for the friend function. And now, as I said, we have to pass the object of the same class as reference. Okay, so कैसे तुम वो करोगे, you have already done this thing. Okay, so how we can pass but an object of the same class as a reference, that is the class name, that is distance. Okay, and you have to write a person underscore ampersand, sorry, d. Okay, so this is how we can basically pass a object of the same class as a reference. Okay, so passing object of the same class as a reference, because why we are doing this, because we want to access the data member, we want to access the private data member. Okay, now this is how we can like go for the prototype or the declaration of the friend function inside the class. Okay, now we can close it. Okay, and outside the class body we have to go for defining the we have to go for the function definition. Okay, so what basically this function will do, add value. Okay, so here also the same thing, we have to follow pass object by reference. So if you have not clear with the concept, you can refer to the slide, how to pass a value, how to pass an object of a same class as a value or as a reference. There are two way we can do it, but why we are going for passing an object of a class as a reference? Because you know that if you go by reference, then we can able to uh, like जो भी changes होगा यहाँ पे, that will be reflected in the actual value will be reflected. Okay, so अगर सिर्फ call by value करते हो, then as soon as the function terminates, the value would not be reflected. Okay, but if you are going for the concept like passing object of a class as a reference, then we can able to जो भी necessary changes, so function, ये function के अंदर जो भी changes हम कर रहे हैं, so that is going to be reflected. Okay, so just what this add function will basically do, जो भी मैं ली हूँ, I'm trying to access, okay, through the d, through the object. So d dot meter will be equal to d dot meter plus 10. Just I'm trying to add some value. Okay, just doing a simple program, just taking an input for the value meter, then I'm trying to increment the value by 10. Okay, so this is how we can go on defining the friend function. Okay, so this is the function definition for add value, and here add value we have treated it as a friend function. Okay, and this is done. Now we have to go for the main function. Okay, so inside the main, I will be creating an object of the class distance. Okay, uh, like here, just you know that we have taken the initial value. So
मैम यहाँ पे M%D क्या रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा है?
कहाँ पे?
यहाँ पे ऊपर फ्रेंड फंक्शन में. यस मैम.
हाँ, that is like तुम जब भी तुम्हारा क्या होता है, like यहाँ पे क्या करोगे ना, जब भी कॉल करोगे, so just once let me complete the main function, then I think you will able to understand. Okay, just let me write the main function. Let me just display the value two times. Yes. Then, yes, all of you can see that I have created an object for the class distance. Okay, like all of you know that what is the initial value of meter, like we have initially value is 0. So now what I'm doing, I'm trying to make a call to the display. Okay, as soon as I will, so display data is basically a member function of the class. Okay, so inside the class we have defined that member function. Okay, so it is a class member function. So directly we can access it, like we have to make a call through the object. So d1 dot display data, so that will initially display the value as 0, okay, because display data is basically displaying what is the meter value, जो हमारा initial value है वो display कर रहा है. So okay, then I'm just, this is the way how we are like calling the this add value is basically the function call. Okay, so this is how we are making a call to the friend function. Okay, so I already mentioned that जब भी हम friend function को call करते हैं, we do not require any object or any dot operator to make a call to the friend function. सिर्फ तुम्हें वही friend function का नाम लिखना है, that is add value, that is the name of the friend function. Okay, and inside this what I'm doing, this is passed by reference. Okay, so जब भी ये function call होगा, so this is how we can pass like by reference. तो हम क्या कर रहे हैं, just जब भी add value ये function, so this is a call to the friend function. Okay, or we can say this is passing an object by reference. Okay, so जब भी ये function call होगा, we will go to the definition, that is the add value, जो भी हम definition में क्या लिखें, and यहाँ पे हम क्या कर रहे हैं, just this is like passing object of the same class. यहाँ पे class है हमारा distance. Okay, so this is passing an object of the class distance as a reference, because हम यहाँ पे we are trying to, जो भी हम यहाँ पे call कर रहे हैं through the, like passing the uh, passing the reference. Okay, so that value we will receive here. Okay, and we are trying to increment the value by 10. Okay, so this is how we can uh, add the concept, like how to pass an object as a reference or as an argument in a particular function. Okay, so if you have already referred to that, you can understand this thing. Just यहाँ पे जब भी मैं call कर रही हूँ, here I have not written d1 dot add value. Okay, because ये हमारा एक नॉन मेंबर फंक्शन है, सो इसका डेफिनेशन हम आउटसाइड द क्लास लिखें. सो हमें कोई ऑब्जेक्ट या फिर डॉट ऑपरेटर यूज करने का जरूरत नहीं है. डायरेक्टली यू कैन राइट द फंक्शन नेम. Okay, so that can be called without object also. Okay, so it does not require any object to call the function. Okay, so सिर्फ तुम्हारा जो भी friend function member function है वो लिखोगे, and you're just passing d1. Okay, so that is just I can say that passing a object as a reference. Okay, or pass by reference. Okay, so जो भी हम मीटर का वैल्यू ले रहे हैं, that will be incremented by value 10 or any operation you can perform. Okay, then after we made a call to this, now again when you will be displaying the data through d1 dot object, now the value would be incremented, and previously it was showing 0 and now it will be incremented by 10. Okay, so this is how we can add the concept of friend function inside in a particular uh, program. Okay. Okay, so I actually made a mistake while I declared the prototype or the declaration of the friend function. I missed the semicolon. So understand it very carefully. जब भी तुम declare कर रहे हो, जो भी prototype है friend function का लिख रहे हो, you have to end it with a semicolon. So follow the syntax, the general syntax, how we can go for the prototype declaration. But अगर mistake हुआ होगा, then that will show you the error on the screen. Okay, so just I'm trying to show you कि मेरा initial value जो था that was 0, and through a friend function I try to access the private data members, because जो भी मैं मीटर ली हूँ, जो भी मीटर मेंबर डेटा मेंबर ली हूँ, that is a private data member for the class distance. Okay, and further we are not allowed to access the private data member outside the class. Okay, so like through any non-member function. But if you are adding the concept of friend, okay, that will somehow help you. Even though we have defined the friend function outside the class body, we can able to access the private data members of the class distance. Okay, so this is how we can able to access. Okay, okay, so just another example you can try in your system. Very simple example to find out the largest between two numbers using friend function. Okay, we have taken the class largest, and basically three data members variables I have taken under the private section. Okay, a b c a b m, these are the private data members, and I had taken two uh, member function. One is basically to set the data. Okay, and another one I had taken it as to find the maximum between these two numbers. Okay, so this is the prototype declaration. Okay, just you have to write friend void find max, that is the find max is the function. Okay, and then inside the bracket I have written distance. Okay, so यहाँ पे मैं जो भी डिस्टेंस दो डिस्टेंस ले रही हूँ उसका जस्ट फाइंड आउट कर रही हूँ कि जो भी फर्स्ट नंबर या सेकंड नंबर ले रही हूँ उनमें से निकाल रही हूँ कि लार्जेस्ट, सॉरी, जो भी नंबर्स इनपुट कर रही हूँ उसमें निकाल रही हूँ कि कौन सा नंबर लार्जेस्ट नंबर है. ठीक है, सो like here the prototype declaration was different. Like here I'm not like यहाँ पे पास नहीं कर रही हूँ, आई एम नॉट पासिंग ऑब्जेक्ट ऑफ द क्लास लार्जेस्ट एज अ रेफरेंस की तरह पास नहीं कर रही हूँ. ठीक है, विच आई हैड ऑलरेडी previously done for the, I had done it for the previous example. Okay, and so this is like outside the class. So I have written the definition, so I have to make use of the scope resolution operator. Okay, so set data function will basically take the input from the user about the first number and second number respectively. Okay, then I have written the definition for the friend function. Okay, so this friend function will basically जो भी मेरा जो भी लार्जेस्ट है. ठीक है, सो यहाँ पे मैं आई एम नॉट पासिंग ऑब्जेक्ट बाय रेफरेंस, आई एम पासिंग रादर ऑब्जेक्ट बाय अ वैल्यू. ओके, सो लार्जेस्ट द क्लास नेम, देन यू हैव टू राइट डाउन द ऑब्जेक्ट वेरिएबल, कोई भी वेरिएबल ले सकते हो. ठीक है, then through the conditional statement, like if I'm just comparing t dot a is greater than t dot b or not. Okay, so I'm trying to access the private, so these a b m all are the private data members for the class largest. Okay, which I'm accessing through the object. Okay, so t dot a greater than t dot b, then we have to save the value, or the value will be saved or copied to t dot m. Or if the condition fail somehow, then the other value or the second number which we had taken as an input, that will be uh, restored, or that will be saved to t dot n. And I'm just printing through cout what is the maximum number, that is t dot n. So this function definition, you can clearly see that we are trying to access the private data members, okay, through हम access कर रहे हैं जो भी हमारे private data members हैं, and this is we are doing outside the class, okay. And in the main function I had created an object for the class largest, and you can directly make a call to the set data through the object that you have created for the class. And how we supposed to make a call to the friend function directly, you have to write down the friend function name, okay. And here I'm just uh, doing pass by value. So previously I had done pass by reference, okay. uh, Here we are doing pass by value, okay. And ultimately when you write this program, this will, you can enter any value for the first and second number, and that will give you the desired result, okay. Now the next thing is यहाँ पे how we can like take friend function to more than one classes, okay. So previously we had only taken a friend function to one particular class, okay, but we can take a friend function, we can define a friend function to more than one classes also. So how the friend function will be like friendly to two classes, okay. So all of you can see this simple program, okay. So I have done. So this is basically called as a forward declaration. So I am taking two classes basically, ABC and XYZ. Okay. So first XYZ जो भी class ले रही हूँ, okay, like you can take any proper name. Just for an example, I have taken XYZ, and this is the data member for the private data member for the class XYZ. Okay. And in the public I have taken a set data of function, okay. And that will basically receive a data through a, and that value will be of type integer, okay. And whatever value it is receiving for a, that value we are copying it to another variable x, okay. So just ये function एक value receive कर रहा है which is of integer type, and that value we are just saving or assigning it to x, okay. And another function, that is max, which is taken as a friend member function. So I have done the declaration inside the class. So this thing you have to mark every time whenever you are going for declaration inside the class, or if you're going for writing the definition of the friend function, that will be always outside the class body, okay. Now again another class, I have taken class ABC, and I have taken another private data member for this class, that is Y, okay. Then for this particular class also I have taken a function named as set data, and the same way we have done it for the class XYZ. यहाँ पे भी हम just जो भी value receive कर रहे हैं, that value I'm just assigning it to Y, okay. And this is how we can write down the max function, okay. Previously I had written the same thing, friend, then return type, then the function name, then inside this I was writing the class name, okay, XYZ and ABC, okay. Same thing we have to repeat. And this is the definition of max, the way that we have already done for the previous problem में भी हम largest find out कर रहे हैं, यहाँ पे भी वही चीज, we are finding out the maximum amongst the two numbers, okay. So just यहाँ पे function arguments क्या होंगे, class name, then T1, then another class is ABC, T2, okay. So this whenever we will make a call to the max. So in the main function, you can see I have created two objects ABC, XYZ respectively for two different classes, and I made a call to the member function through the object, and I had directly passed the value. You can also do that if you want to make a comparison between two numbers, which one is largest or which one is smallest or which is the maximum one. You can directly take the input from the user और यहाँ पे वैल्यू भी तुम स्पेसिफाई कर सकते हो, ठीक है. Then this is a call to the friend function, okay, just the function name max, okay. And यहाँ पे तुम जो भी तुम्हारा ऑब्जेक्ट है उस जस्ट पासिंग द ऑब्जेक्ट, we are just passing the object by values, okay. So whenever this function will be called, it will go to the function definition, and this t1 and t2 will actually receive the value that we have taken, okay. So एक जब भी set data function call होगा, so set data function में हम क्या करें, what we have written in set data, just we are taking जो भी value a receive कर रहा है, that value will be restored in y for the class ABC, and for the class XYZ we are restoring it in X. Okay, so just we are trying to access the private data members. We are doing a comparison the same way we have done for the previous problem. Only the difference is here we have uh, like this example will demonstrate like how a friend function will actually work, or how it can be friendly to more than two classes or more than one classes. Okay, so this is the way how we can do it. You can write the program in your system and you can see that how we are trying to access the private data members of two different classes by incorporating the concept of friend function. Okay. Okay, so just like friend function, we have a concept of friend class also. Okay, so like so these are some of the points that you need to know about friend function and classes. Ki uh, we can't take too many functions or external classes as declared as friend of a class with protected and private data. So we can have like we can add the concept of friend function. So friend should be used only for limited purpose. Like you can't take too many friend functions. Okay, so that will basically lessens the value of encapsulation of separate classes in the object oriented programming. And it is another concept is it is not mutual. Like if a class is a friend of class B, what is happening, how many people are now trying, like it's already we are going to end the class, only 15 to 30 minutes are left. I have strictly told this to the authority, if someone is going to try and get into the class, if you're not authorized for the class and you're trying to log in from any other email IDs, then they are going to strictly block you and they can find it out also. So just those who are trying to create any kind of a disturbance inside the class, I will not entertain this. I have already reported this, the way some people are trying to make some disturbances, okay. And from the next time onwards, they are definitely going to find you out, and they will block you from everywhere, okay. So if someone is doing it intentionally, I will not entertain this, okay. ओके। सो जब जैसे मैं बताई कि यू कैन just like friend function, we can have the concept of friend class also. Okay, so just I can make a class as a friend to another class. Okay, so what is a friend class? Like a friend class can access the private and protected members of another class in which it is declared as friend. Okay, just like the concept of friend function, we can also uh, we have another concept that is friend class. Okay, so the same purpose, for the same purpose we are adding the concept, like we will allow the that particular class to have an access to the private and protected members of another class. Okay, so like it's sometimes useful to allow a particular class to access the private members of other class. Like I can take an example, like just a small example I had taken. Okay, like you will study the concept of linked list and all in data structure programming. Okay, just I have taken a class named as linked list. Okay, and another class I have taken it as a node. Okay, so in basically in a linked list, that is a one type of data structure that we can have. सो डेटा स्ट्रक्चर में तुम बहुत सारे डिफरेंट टाइप के डेटा स्ट्रक्चर पढ़ोगे, लाइक द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ ट्री, द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ, so some of the linear data structure you will study, some of the non-linear data structure you will study, like hashing, tree, graph, all the concept of like linked list. Okay, then queue, stack, everything you will cover. Okay, so just this is a node. I have taken a node as a class, and these are the private. This is the private data member. So every node has a key value, and another field is there which is actually a pointer which will point to the next node. Okay, so just I have taken a class, and the class members are data members I have taken as key, and another one I have taken as next. So this is kind of pointer. Okay, so which basically points to the next node. So दो field होता है एक node में, एक data value होता है और एक होता है एक pointer होता है जो कि point करता है next जो तुम्हारा node है उसके location को point करता है. Okay, um, we can take other members of the node class also, but I've just shown two private data members. Okay, and another class I can take as linked list. Okay, and I can say this class linked list can, we can allow this class linked list to have an access to the private data members for the class node. So how we can make the class linked list as a friend to the class node? So we have to make use of the keyword friend. Then you can write down class linked list. So the meaning of this line is we are making the class linked list as a friend to the class node. And if we are writing this thing, that means we are allowing the class linked list to have an access to the private data members for the class node. Okay, so through an example you can add the concept of friend class also, just like we have done it for the friend function. Okay, so just this is a private data member for class A. Okay, and I have taken a default constructor, and I had initialized the value with the 10. Okay, and inside the that particular class I have written friend class B. So I'm just making class B as a friend to the class A. So this is how we can write the uh, this is the syntax you have to follow. Like you have to make use of the keyword friend, then you can write down class and the other class for which like तुम्हें ये friend class बनाना है, that class name you have to specify. And here actually the class terminates, then we can go for the class B. Okay, so inside class B I had just taken a member function display to display the value of x. Okay, so through this class, so now as already I have made class B as a friend class to class A, so now class B is allowed to have an access to the private data members of class A. Okay, so like here I can write void display, and uh, like what type of argument it is taking, that is the क्लास नेम, ओके, जिसका प्राइवेट डेटा मेंबर्स वो एक्सेस कर रहा है, एंड यू हैव टू do it by reference, okay. And here I can simply access the private data member for the class A in the class B, that I can write down the value of x. So x, if you remember clearly, x I have taken it as a private data member for the class A, okay, and I'm just trying to access it in the class B. So as I already made it a friend to class A, so this is completely allowed. So this privilege we can have for class B, okay. So the value of x is p dot x, okay. So this is how we can able to uh, 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 have the concept of friend class, okay. So this thing you can um, add, okay. And in the main I'm just creating object for a class A and B. For both the classes I'm creating object, and through the object that I've created for class B, I'm just calling display, because display is a member function for class B, okay. So b dot display, and I'm just passing the object as a, और all passing object by reference, okay. So जो भी तुम value pass करोगे, that value we will be receiving here, okay, t, and through t we are trying to access the private data members t dot x, okay. So that will basically show you the value, initial value, जो भी value लिए हो x का, okay. So this is the way how we can make a particular class as a friend to another class, and that will allow the class to have access to the private data members. Okay. So there are two more ways also there. At the end, I have written. You can refer to that. Okay. Like we can same thing, the concept of friend class and friend function I have written, but there is a different way how we can write the program also, okay. So just you can mark कि यहाँ पे I made it a class B as a friend to class A, the same way I have done it for the previous क्वेश्चन, जो भी प्रोग्राम समझाई वहाँ पे जैसे मैं फ्रेंड क्लास बनाई थी क्लास बी को, वैसे ही कर सकते हो, ओके. ओनली द वे हाउ वी आर एक्सेसिंग द प्राइवेट डेटा मेंबर्स ऑफ ए, दैट इज समहाउ डिफरेंट, ओके. सो सिंस now B is a friend to class A, so we can access the private members of A. Just the way how we are accessing, that is different, okay. So we can write it in this way also, std, then the scope resolution operator C out. In most of the program, if you have referred from somewhere, there you have written std scope resolution operators C out. Then this is the way how we can just we are trying to access the private data of A. So we can write down x dot A. Okay, so this is another way we can do it, and same goes for uh, friend function also, okay. So whenever we will write the simple program for the friend function to another class, there also I'm just trying to, so यहाँ पे just I'm trying to do the declaration or the prototype declaration in a different way, okay. Just you have to follow this, you can follow this format or the one I had discussed, that is the usual practice that you can follow, okay. So only the way how we are accessing the private data members, that is something different, rest all other things are quite similar, okay. Okay, so you can go through this thing, and I had already shared the assignments in the lab, so you had tried two questions on static data member and member function, and the rest of the questions I think now we can able to try by using the concept of friend function, okay. So those problem assignments that I have given, just you go through the document. I will upload this in the classroom. You have to go through the concept of friend function, friend class, and after that you can refer to the assignment which I had already uploaded in the last lab.
Ma'am,
Yes.
through the class, friend class, we can access the Value of private class. Can we change the value through the friend class?
Friend class.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Uh, I think you have to use the concept of friend function for it. If you're making any changes, then for that, like the way I had explained the concept of friend function का concept use करके तुम any changes if you want to make that you can do it. But I am not sure whether only by taking the concept of friend class that thing can be done or not. I have to check this and I will let you know.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, you can try these examples out and all the questions that I had given for the last assignment. Just try a few questions. If you can complete them by your own, that is well and good. Or in the next lab, we will continue with this and some other concept. And just prepare like till the third PPT, like I had already covered, like before I start the concept of constructor and destructor, because that is the next chapter which we are going to start for object oriented programming. So before that, I will conduct a quiz test. Okay. And also one more class I will definitely take to cover some left out concept like inline function, what is operator overloading, function overloading. So these things I will cover, and after that I can go for a quiz test. So up to the concept of class and object, everything that I had covered from the beginning, you can prepare well for the quiz test that I am going to conduct maybe after one class, because one more class I will take to cover this, and then in the next class I will start the constructor and next to next class, and there itself in that class only I will conduct the quiz test. Okay. All of you respond to your roll call. Roll number 141,
Present, ma'am.
326,
Present, ma'am.
357,
Present, ma'am.
402,
Present, ma'am.
451,
Present, ma'am.
457,
Present, ma'am.
532,
Present, ma'am.
540,
Present, ma'am.
629,
Present, ma'am.
635,
Present, ma'am.
796, 862,
Present, ma'am.
865,
Present, ma'am.
866, 874,
Present, ma'am.
893,
Present, ma'am.
1279,
Present, ma'am.
1016,
Present, ma'am.
1084,
Present, ma'am.
1090,
Present, ma'am.
1094,
Present, ma'am.
1164,
Present, ma'am.
1225, 1295,
Present, ma'am.
1297,
Present, ma'am.
1299,
Present, ma'am.
1311,
Present, ma'am.
1314,
Present, ma'am.
1317,
Present, ma'am.
1320,
Present, ma'am.
21,
Present, ma'am.
23,
Present, ma'am.
27,
Present, ma'am.
29,
Present, ma'am.
32,
Present, ma'am.
33,
Present, ma'am.
37,
Present, ma'am.
43,
Present, ma'am.
51,
Present, ma'am.
52,
Present, ma'am.
54,
Present, ma'am.
57,
Present, ma'am.
60,
Present, ma'am.
61,
Present, ma'am.
69, 1374,
Present, ma'am.
83, 1383,
Present, ma'am. 8-3.
okay, 1401,
Yes, ma'am.
06,
Present, ma'am.
1422, 1424,
Present, ma'am.
1444,
Present, ma'am.